Yes, and we are back with City Business. This is James Moore. I know that theme music anywhere. And welcome to another installment of City Business. We'd like to thank the Fairfield Media Center for being in the house here. Jason Strong, keeping things strong with the visual media world. You know, we're just simply words here. But, words are a beautiful thing. Speaking of which, we will be talking about city business. Remember, after each city council meeting, 12:30 Tuesday, and then the following Thursday dinner time, 6:30 p.m., or the following Monday, 6:30 a.m. breakfast time, you can catch up on what's going down. Joining us is 4th City Council person Michael Halley, and we do appreciate you coming in. How you doing, Michael?
I'm good. Glad to be here.
Good to see you. So what's happening in City Hall?
Well, another relatively short meeting. This is a review of the November 10th City Council meeting. We did get our final financial report for last fiscal year. The city's on a July to late June fiscal year. And the state auditors are who we have always used historically. And then at some point, one of our administrators decided to use a private firm, but that didn't really work out in our favor. So we're back to the state auditors. They're very thorough. There's a group of them in City Hall for, weeks. It was more than a week. They were there a lot, just digging through. So it's good to have all the numbers hashed out in that way. I
was going to say ducks in a row, your P's dotted and your crosses T'd and all that?
Yeah, it's just everything accounted for, because that's what it is. It's accounting, right? Huh? All right, I'm James Moore. And
and I'm Michael Halley.
Role reversal. All right, so, but one thing I wanted to talk about that came out of that, and has been in discussion for a while, is just the city's finances in general. And again, when we had the bond rating downgrade, it was essentially because the way that the funds were, how should I say it? The funds were there, but they were put in different categories that made it look like there weren't funds where they should have been, which is in what we call our general fund. So it wasn't that all of a sudden the city was broke in a deficit, but on the other side of things, our general fund balance could be higher. The bond rating people and our friends at Piper Jaffray, who we've been working with on this, would like to see it higher than it has been historically. So I'm predicting, so anybody wants to write this down, we go over under if you want, but do a little prediction, but I'm not really a betting man, but I'm predicting that in the coming years, the city will most likely slow down on some of our projects just to get some of those old debts paid and to get that general fund balance a little higher. Some projects we can't slow down on. That's the wastewater project that has to be done. The state DNR is working with us to get that done. That isn't an option. It's a requirement. So that's moving forward, and there's more on that later in the meeting. Okay. But we've had a great run, I'd say, of a lot of great community projects. The downtown with the nodes and the sidewalks and the nice lamp posts. Those were put in years back. And the Quiet Zone, though that was mostly privately funded, and I think that's probably the model that'll push things forward in the future, is things like the skate park, where you have somebody who comes in with a vision, private citizen, a vision and the funding to see something through. Of course, those can continue, but the city-funded projects might kind of take a little, this again, it's just a prediction, but might take a back seat to getting all the finances shored up and strong again. So
interesting. Like the radio station Citizen Initiative, no city money. There are a lot of people doing things that are great. I'm sorry to hear that, but we'll see how that comes down. You're offering a prediction.
Yep.
Because it's also interesting that the convention center is almost paid off now too. So it's just interesting timing.
But that's coming from lost funds. Now, local option sales tax is separate. It's its own.
I'm glad this came up. So just explain.
Yeah, sure.
Because for the layman, sometimes they all sort of blend into a general fund.
Exactly. So. Yep. It's city funding is primarily our primary source of income are property taxes, local property taxes, and then some of the departments do bring in income. The wastewater and the waterworks both are departments that are run more or less like a business. So whatever it costs to treat the water and deliver it to you is what you're charged. Same with the wastewater. Parks and Rec brings in some, but then their budget's mostly outgoing, but they have some fees for using the facilities. So now, in terms of community funds that are available for the community or community projects, there are capital projects that the city undertakes, like upgrades to the sewer and the water lines and streets and parking lots and that kind of thing.
Where does the swimming pool fit in?
I'll get there.
Oh, sorry.
And things like that we would add something to one of our departments. So swimming pool and the rec center were both the funding for that. The majority of the funding for that, I should say, $3 million of it, was put out for popular vote, asking people, are you willing to pay more for on your property taxes for the period of the time it takes to pay down that $3 million loan? And 2/3 of the voters who came out and voted said yes, and so that passed. Things like purchasing the Arts and Convention Center building, which the city decided to do in 2010, was also put out popular vote. Now, the vote for that the funding for that came from local option sales tax. Now, that's another stream of revenue that it's an option. Not all cities use it, but I believe now the majority do. And it adds 1% to the sales tax in the area of interest. So this is in the city, within the city of Fairfield. So 5% goes to the state, 1% to the city for this fund. And I believe we still have 1% that's for a local school. So we're maxed out. You can't go above 7% in the state of Iowa. And that's on sales tax. So any sort of purchase or anything that has sales tax attached to it.
And that's just to be clear, so that's a separate pot.
Yeah, it's a different revenue stream. And then it was originally voted in to pay for the new law center, or the city's portion of the new law center. And that was 100% of that 1%. All of the local option sales tax funds were for that purpose. Now, over the years, since that fund has started, maybe around 2000, maybe earlier, it's steadily grown. Now, that could just be the steady growth of the economy, but I think it's grown proportionally higher than, say, the national average. So Fairfield has attracted people come here to shop, or just more people came here to live, and so that it grew from 500,000 a year, 600. Now it's up over $800,000 a year. So as it grew, it paid off the debt for the law center before the 10-year expiration date that voters had agreed on. So then it was put out to a vote to reallocate those funds, and the allocation that now stands is that half of it goes towards street repair. 25% of it goes towards wastewater upgrades, and the remaining 25% for community betterment. Now, that's not all given out in grants to nonprofits, but a lot of it is. Sometimes it's used for departments that need something. I think one time it was used for police department cruiser or something. So sometimes if there's a need and there's no other funds, it can be allocated more internally. But for the most part, it's used as a grant program for any local nonprofits or events. That the idea would be things that would then grow the loss. So things that would attract people to the community. So we've Little League asked for some money. They're like, well, we have a tournament every year that brings people from all around. So, you're coming. They're coming to town to visit. They're spending their money. They're adding to local option sales tax. So that's, I'd say, maybe there's a benefit, or there's a preference given to those kind of programs, but that's not a requirement to receive lost funds. I'm not on the Ways and Means Committee, but that's a three council member committee that reviews those applications every year. So the applications go out, I believe they're open now, but then they'll be collected in January, and then there's like a month where they're reviewed, and then whatever there is that year to give is divvied up. Now in 2010, the vote to purchase the convention center building, that came out of that 25%, that's community betterment, and it requires about half of that each year at the rates, at the amount that was brought in that year. It was about 12% to pay off that loan. And And the way that works is the city bought the building, is paying it off, and we'll have it paid off, I think, by 2018-ish. So that was the projection, at least. And leases it to the Convention Center Board, which is a nonprofit, for a nominal amount, like $1 a year or something, as long as they maintain the building. So they're responsible for all their own programming expenses. They don't receive anything for any of their employees or their advertising or their utilities or anything. They have to be self-sufficient, but the city requires them to keep the building in good shape as long as we have this lease agreement. So that's that. So there's the local option sales tax wouldn't be a problem in terms of the continuing to give out these grants, in terms of what I'm talking about, in terms of, I don't know if the voters would support another big project where we're saying, hey, would you add this to your property tax roll? They supported the pool and gym in that way, but there's also a limit to how much the city can
and also
ask
an economic landscape depending on where people are at, and our economy is doing okay. Some places, Minneapolis, are doing all right, but it's it's a little bit of a fiscally time.
Yeah,
let's get fiscal.
Yep.
Newton-John, what's her name?
Olivia Newton-John.
Let's get fiscal. Okay, sorry,
very
guys.
close, but yeah.
Yeah, just before, now that I've broken the whatever veneer of this beautiful setting, I want to say I'm James Moore. I'm the one with the bad puns. Don't blame the other guy with the black shirt. Michael Halley sitting here, who, by the way, is also a show host at KRUU and has been for many, many years, sometimes with his children, with his young Michael Halley offspring. Is that right? No, offspring. Sorry, I don't mean to make animals out of this, that come in as well, but also Matt Molyneux, and they do a Reasonable Alternative Fridays at 8 p.m., and that's really cool. Also Friday, 11 p.m., we have Austin Tuhawk, who is a Lakota Sioux, who's doing his show Outlaw Radio, and he told me, thank you so much for having this station and an opportunity to do his program. Now he has his family from Pine Ridge near Wounded Knee listening in, and I look to expand with the connection there. I think they should be a part of Fairfest. That's the latest dream. But at any rate, you are listening to City Business, that aside, and we are talking about the latest from City Hall every Tuesday following the City Hall meeting at 12:30, Thursday 6:30 p.m., or Monday the following 6:30 a.m. So what else you got?
Well, we did some other business. So we had some resolutions, action items, and ordinances. One action item. Da-da-da. We got to add that action item theme song at some point. For December, we typically only have one meeting. So just heads up, that meeting will be on December 15th in the middle of the month rather than the first or the second Tuesday. It'll be the third Tuesday at 7 o'clock at City Hall. So it'll be our 1 December public council meeting. So we'll just do one city business in December. Sorry for everyone who just looks forward to this so much every 2 weeks.
Yes, and Jason looks very disappointed over there behind the camera.
Oh, shucks.
But, we'll all sally forth.
Yep. We accepted a couple projects as finished. The Junction Road and Lincoln Avenue. I'm really glad that we got to Lincoln. Lincoln was just such a memorable president. But the President streets that go south of town, I don't know how much further we'll go. That probably might be the last one because it's right by the bypass. But it runs east to west, and it's right by Pilot Grove Saving Bank. And maybe someday, if we get our things in order, will lead to a housing development out in that area. So somebody could say, here's how you get to my house. You take Junction Road and turn on Lincoln Avenue. Take
a left at Lincoln.
Yep, exactly. We also accepted the skate park project as final, even though there were some micro cracks that apparently are normal and not a problem and won't pose an issue to the skaters, that's considered within the parameters, but we'll keep an eye on it, make sure it holds up over the winter and such. But I've been out there a couple of times on the weekend, and it's very well used.
Excellent.
Yeah, and the kids are out, staying out of trouble.
Yeah, and I think Joe Mandarino came out, or somehow, as the what an incredible gift to the community.
Thank you, Joe.
Also a wonderful musician, so very cool.
Oh, cool. All right, what else? A couple of wastewater issues. We're going to step 2 of the sanitary sewer projects, and part of that is we have to hire a firm to help with the right-of-way agreements. And as Melanie Carlson from French Renneker said, we wish that everyone would just give the city the right-of-way to run the pipe under their lawns or their backyard or wherever it is. But usually they want compensation. So this firm kind of wheels and deals and comes up with that. So just part of the process of putting in all these new lines and upgrading the whole system so that we don't have, the ultimate goal is to end, or as close to end as we can possibly get, the overflows that we currently experience anytime we get somewhat heavy rains. And those overflows, that is raw sewage, diluted significantly usually, but it's raw sewage spilling out into the environment, which is illegal under the state code and also just plain gross. So we're working on it.
Not good, but it takes a while. And we've talked about that many times, that it's a big procedure and it just takes, piece by piece.
Yep.
We might have a little issue with runoff. Suddenly the it's not from the toilet. So that means if it's not the toilet, it's somewhere between the toilet and then that's the pipe. Yeah. So that's a mess to try to, but that's part of the joy of owning property.
Exactly.
Gentlemen.
Yep. It's always something.
They don't call it joy for nothing. But I did my own sound effect. Sorry.
Nice. No, it was good. All right. So that leads to this next item, which no one ever enjoys doing this. And we knew this was coming because we had a rate study. The city had a rate study that said, here's the increases to the wastewater rates you'll have to do periodically to stay ahead in order to bring in the funds necessary to pay off the loans, the money you're borrowing for the upgrades. So every year, this time of year, for this year, next year, and I believe the year after, you'll probably be seeing this. And it's a 10% increase on just the wastewater portion. People call the bill they get from the city the water bill, but it should be just called a utility bill. It's got water that comes into your home, that's charged. Then wastewater that goes out, and that's directly linked to what comes in, because that's the only way the city can estimate how much they're taking is how much you're using. And it's got trash and recycling. So those different items are all on that bill. So 10% increase on a portion of it. It's not a 10% overall increase. And then I like to remind people, though, there's only so far you can go with this, but if you do reduce your use, you reduce your bill. So if you can become more efficient with your water or have water efficient devices or shower heads or whatever, you can save money. Are you saying
just hold it? No, that's a different thing. Oh my gosh, what is my problem, folks?
Hey,
settle down. I'm
not going to say anything about anyone's, personal habits.
There we go. Nicely stated.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, on a serious front, if you do we had a situation at our house where if you're hearing in the, you can clink the whatever, if you're hearing water running, it's running, folks. Yep, it doesn't mean maybe it's not running much. Those are the kinds of things that all of a sudden your bill is $40 more or whatever.
Yep.
Just good things to take care of. And I know it costs something to do that usually, unless you can do it yourself or something. And I always caution people to be careful with old plumbing because it's like, I just have to place open, and all of a sudden the pipe's gone and you're into. So always proceed with either the proper procedures or caution, but it is good. There are things that, aside from just lifestyle issues of using less or shorter showers, etc.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't have to be that you do something different. It can just be that you have a different device, like the faucet is low flow or whatever.
Or charge your relatives when they come and stay.
Exactly.
How long was that shower? 35 cents.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
Used a lot of hot water. So, there you go. All right. So that passed from the first to second reading. There'll be 2 more readings to make that official, and it won't take effect until 2015. But it's just unfortunate. No one likes to see increasing the rates. The one thing that I've been told, and I believe it, and I've seen the comparison with our rates in other communities, is that for historically, and this only really can make people who've lived here a long time feel better, because if you just kind of moved to town, it doesn't help. But historically, the rates were below average, and it was what we could refer to as deferred maintenance on the whole system. The rates were low, and things weren't getting fixed, and so now we're doing such a big fix to make up for that. And I'm talking since 70s, this issue was known about for quite a long time, but the DNR, who is the state version of the EPA, didn't really have, could say, the teeth to do anything about these overflows. And then suddenly they're saying, you know what, it's illegal, and we're going to work with each community who has them, and we are not alone in this. Many, many communities in Iowa and Southeast Iowa have degrading sewer infrastructures. And they don't want to, they could hit us with fines right now, but they're not. They're deferring the fines and working with us instead. And they like our plan. They like the fact that we use the third-party engineering firm, specifically works in wastewater. It's McClure Engineering. They like that we're doing it systematically, not trying to jump in all at once, but phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So we should start seeing some improvements next year. I think phase 1 will really get going. And that right there will eliminate a lot of the overflows. It's a bottleneck situation. We're starting with the plant and the pipes leading to the plant from around Lamson Woods that run south. It's not a populated area, but it's a bottleneck in terms of we have more people, more sewage to treat, and it comes in, and that's a major area of overflow. So once that phase 1 is done, a large proportion of the overflows will be mitigated. All right, moving along. Committee and board reports, the Personnel Committee. Now, this is something, if you ever heard of closed session, you're like, why is it closed? Well, there's only a couple of reasons that a council or a committee of a council can go into closed session. One is to hear or discuss personnel issues. Another is to talk about real estate. And that's just, you don't want the public getting wind of, if you're in the middle of a negotiation. So this was a personnel issue. Someone had been recently let go of one of the departments, wanted to talk to the personnel committee about that. So it was closed session. They didn't decide on anything. So, but I have been asked about that, like, hey, what happened there? I said, I don't know. It was a closed session. I'm not on that committee. So the way it works is that whatever's decided in closed session, when they come out of closed session, they move on it, but the actual details are recorded in audio format, and the state requires that, but it's not open to the public. If it needs to be for some reason, it's there. But
you're saying in this case, no, they didn't come out with anything. So
they're going to meet again. Mm-hmm. So I don't know what was discussed, but they're going to meet again. And then obviously the water utilities was talking about the rate increases and moving forward with phase 2. This was interesting. We had a gentleman from Area 15 Regional Planning talking about the Jefferson County Hazard Mitigation Plan. Now, this is something that we need to have in place in order to receive pre- or post-disaster funds if something serious were to happen. And this one that we have now expires at the end of 2015, beginning of 2016. So they're kind of getting ahead of it. We'll meet. We just had a preliminary meeting yesterday. We'll meet again with the City Public Safety Committee in January and just hash out the plan. It's basically going to be mostly taking the old plan and tweaking because the old plan was pretty solid. But most of the areas of concern are natural disasters, weather-related. Our chances of, say, an earthquake are very, very low.
But, possibly tornado, I guess.
Tornado, thunderstorm.
We've been so lucky.
Yeah.
I've been sitting here interviewing someone right in your chair and watched a ball of flame go off the telephone pole across the street, took our inverter out that we had to get repaired. Yeah, it's like, that's pretty close.
Yeah. And there's some things that will be mentioned, but there's not much you can do, like train derailment. How do you...
Yeah, we don't like to think about that, living 50 feet from the railroad tracks.
But it's interesting. Our new police chief mentioned that there's a group of... Safety committee is requesting more information on what exactly travels through our town via rail. Oh, good. Because the railroad company has been relatively secret. I don't want to say secret, but keeping it private.
Well, our good man Tom Knight has been he checked in what each of those labels on those trains mean, and there's a lot of liquid, and they can only be so long if they're going to be that. And he's been tracking that. Yeah. I don't know, it's hard to get details what it means, but it'd be good to know.
It would be good to know, just to know what is passing through our town several times per hour. So sometimes you're concerned, there's radioactive waste and who knows what. So. More on that as it unfolds.
Even a lot of natural gas, I think, or some of the, and that's highly flammable. There have been accidents other places. Just good to know, at least.
Just to know, exactly.
Oh, by the way, and that's something I think KRUU will be interested in being a part of for this step forward because of being able to stay up in the event of power outages as well. But so we'll look at that. But anything else?
Last thing was that the city has been working on this Blue Zones project for 2.5 years, I think.
Wow.
Actually, maybe longer if you count, but actually working towards designation for 2.5 years. Now, the thing about this project from the beginning was it had no funding. It was all voluntary. The group that was working on it was voluntary. All the businesses that have gotten on board, the grocery stores, the schools, the individuals, have done so voluntarily, which in a sense is, I think in a way is meaningful. It shows that our community, or at least a decent sized portion of our community, has a real interest in health and wellness and enhancing health and wellness. So one of the requirements for Fairfield to reach the community of Fairfield, the city of Fairfield as a whole, and our community to reach designation was to get 10 work sites that had a significant population or somehow significantly meaningful to the community to go through the process of becoming, they call, certified or work site, Blue Zone work site. So the city of Fairfield as an employer, I'm trying to make this distinction, not as the community of Fairfield, but the city as an employer, recently completed that, which was a real feather in our cap because according to the lady we work with, that's very difficult. Very few cities have tried that. So it is. I give my hats off to Derek Wolfcool and especially Christy Clark, who works for the Park and Rec.
Great job.
She was originally only going to do the Parks and Rec department, which was hard. And then with a little encouragement, decided to do all the city departments, which was very hard. And I helped that much just so in policy areas and some things, but just a lot of work. And it's just, it's those little things.
So we're green and blue now.
Green and blue, and telling,
and orange and black.
Encouraging our employees, city employees
and
to...
green and gold. Sorry.
A lot of different colors, yeah.
The rainbow.
The rainbow. All right.
But you're encouraging?
The city encourages employees to volunteer, and they can do that to any organization they want, and to take time off. That doesn't have to be sick days or vacation. It's called personal or paid time off, PTO. It's kind of new trend. I took a personal day about this time last year and did some volunteering, and I took a half day last week to help. I did the same thing. I was helping at the putting trees, mulching trees along the trail.
Thank you for that. And I'm chuckling because I think the tea and wine place and Cafe P and others, I saw one email that came out, everyone should have one glass of wine a day.
Oh, yeah. Wine at 5.
Well, you know what? Okay. It would certainly make you feel better about lots of things.
Yeah.
But before we get off here, we're just about done. Last couple minutes, remember we talked about the Cityscape
Tell us about that.
article. And, I think you guys know more. When someone called and asked the mayor, said, they don't usually have people write for that. How did that happen? I said, well, I don't know. Somebody called and said, do you want to write something about community radio and what it means for communities? And I said, gee, sure. And does it pay? Well, no. At least I asked, folks. But it ended up with a cover shot with Talia Winningham. I saw it on her birthday. She's the one that coined the phrase, listen fresh, listen local. But it goes to 870 cities, all that are member cities of Iowa League of Cities. So a nice feather in the cap for Fairfield, Fairfest, MUM, Convention Center, and KRUU as well. So it's up on the website if you want to check it out. But a beautiful job. Yeah. Pictures with President Obama, Governor Chet Culver, the mayor, and Beth Howard, and just a really nice, I don't know, did you get to see it?
Not yet. It'll come we get that in our mailbox at the City Hall, and I've got every edition of that since I've been on the council. I used to be better about reading it. It's hard to keep up with it, but I will definitely read.
Let's just say some of it's a little dry, but, dry is... People like dry wine too,
exactly,
right? Well, speaking of dry wine, we're out of here. This is James Moore with Michael Halley, City Business. Stay tuned. You're listening to Solar Powered KRUU-FM, and you're watching FMC, if you know what I mean. CC?